Kristin, great speaking with you. Before we started, I said good afternoon. You're like, oh, it's still morning. I'm in Toronto. Where are you?
I'm in Vancouver, BC, and it's the first super sunny day we've had in a while. So it's a great morning here today.
Yeah, well, our gas is cheaper. What the heck is going on with the gas up there?
I know, right? It's crazy. It just keeps on getting tougher, but it's so beautiful. I'm just really excited to see the sun. So I'm focusing on that today. That's my good energy for today.
Yeah, well, you know what? Keep the car at home, walk around, do what Vancouver folks do. They love to hike. So
Yeah,
you at least
take a
got
water taxi.
exactly. Great to see you. And I'm really interested in talking to you because there are a lot of things going on in your career that I'm glad to see because it was funny when I was going to do this interview. Of course, the two people I thought about was Taylor Swift and Beyonce, and the reason why I thought about them was because when you look at Taylor Swift going from country to pop, and then you look at Beyonce doing the um, her R&B pop to country. I was thinking about you because, one of the great things about Canadian country artists, even though these artists have been doing this, Canadian country artists have been experimenting for a very long time when it comes to working with other genres. So it's almost like you don't call them a country artist, you call them an artist, which is what you are doing these days. Because when we first met, you were doing one genre. This album that we're going to talk about, something very different.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I'm so flattered that you have those two references for me because I'm just so in awe of both of those artists and just cannot stop streaming Beyonce's new album. So that's just so awesome. Yeah, for me, it's just been the past couple of years. I've focused a lot on writing and kind of exploring with different genres, and taking a bunch of different musical influences and trying to incorporate that a bit more into my work. I've always grown up listening to lots of different genres. Country was a big part of that, but also a lot of things like R&B. I grew up a lot in the choral world as well, so a lot of choir influences are on this album,
Okay.
which is kind of interesting. And so it was just a really amazing kind of exploratory experience for me to be able to kind of dip my toes in all these different areas and just enjoy kind of the flexibility of exploring in all these ways. So yeah, that's kind of how Full Bloom came to be, this kind of contemporary pop piece, because I think a lot of the different songs pull from these different influences. Like there's definitely songs on there that still are very country, like there's slides and fiddles and things like that. But then there's other songs like Lazy Sunday that are, I think, fairly securely borrowing or lending from R&B and things like that. So it really kind of has a wide range, but it was so much fun to write and create that way.
Okay, you've already given us the name, but I want to go back to it again. Why are you calling it the name that you're calling it? Because I consider it something very interesting because that name could really talk about the continuation of your career.
Full Bloom.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So for me, Full Bloom came from the idea of a garden. I love to garden here. I mean, we get sun. That's probably why I'm so excited about the sun. So I love to garden at home, and it just find it such a cathartic and rewarding process because you put so much effort in, and then it's kind of this, I don't know, toss up on whether things are going to come through or not, or whether the flowers are going to bloom the way you think they are. And so this metaphor for me was represented a lot in what I was um, kind of going through in my life, and with the hopefulness of the album, and kind of nurturing all of these songs and these stories and building out the production and the music of that. So that's what the reference is. There's no track on the album that's actually called Full Bloom
Right.
directly. It's all just kind of a collection, like a sonic garden of musical flowers. And that's really how I see it. Is there's all different types of flowers and all different types of songs because a garden of kind of one flower would be pretty boring. So you need all the different ones in there to make it something really fulsome and beautiful. And the songs really reflect that. I think there's some that are just kind of upbeat and joyful and kind of purely positive energy, but there's also some that are a little bit more like a rose, for example, that have kind of like thorns on them, but they're still beautiful, but they're about something maybe a bit heavier or tougher to discuss. So it really is a wide range, and that's the metaphor for me. And I just love flowers in general. I think they're so beautiful. So it was a perfect metaphor for me.
Two things that stood out. Number one, your vocals, amazing, killing it.
Thank
Like,
you.
whoa, it was out there, which is why I can't throw out Taylor Swift and Beyonce because I'd put your voice, I would match them up against them any day of the week. The
Oh my
other thing that
gosh,
I
thank you.
noticed is even though you talked about all these different genres, I was hearing a lot of world music in your songs. Were you
Okay.
taking anything from that? When I mean just the sound, the texture, things like that, I could hear sounds from other Latin countries and things like that. Was there any inspiration behind that, or am I just hearing that because I'm just hearing that?
No, wow, thank you. No, I really appreciate that. I can't think of anything that I use necessarily directly, but I do listen to quite a bit of Latin music. I had this amazing Spanish professor in my first year of university that introduced me to all these incredible Latin artists. So it's definitely something that I listen to. So I wouldn't be surprised if some influences definitely snuck into the writing and the production because it was my first time co-producing as well. So
Oh
if
wow.
I had my hand in it, then definitely I think that probably worked its way in, which is awesome that you heard that because I'm also a really big fan of that music and that genre. So very cool.
You you just mentioned co-producing. What was that like for the first time?
Oh, it was so exciting. It was definitely a challenge. It was my first time kind of hands on with all of the hardware and even just the technical elements of recording. But I really feel excited about it because I got to learn so much in the process and did a lot of the recording myself and learning about different acoustic environments and then layering with the music too was so fun and collaborative. Marcus Ramsey is the other co-producer on the album, and we just had so much fun building out different sounds and trying to figure out what we wanted a song to sound like. And it was really interesting getting it from the point of we've written the song and the songs that we thought had the most potential and then going to the end and then it was just it completely flipped, like some of the ones that we weren't even that excited about turned into the ones that we're most excited about because it adds so many layers once you actually get into the studio and start recording and really building it out. So it was great. It was such a great learning process for me and I definitely think I'm looking forward to doing it again.
So what about those vocals I talked about earlier? Where the hell did they come from? Because I don't think I've heard those type of vocals from you from your previous.
Yeah, I really part of the writing I wanted to kind of explore that vocal range and have a lot of fun with some of those big high notes. I did a lot of my musical, I guess, growing up in, like I mentioned, choir, but also musical theater, which relies on a lot of like really big belting, but also like layering and texturing and understanding the voice as part of kind of a larger instrument, as like a collective. So it was exciting to be able to kind of take these songs and implement those areas and elements where I thought it would be um, where I thought it would really add to the song. And recording those too is kind of challenging because it's like very
Yeah.
just loud, like volume wise, it's loud. So you have to kind of learn how to adapt for that and pick kind of the moments for it. But no, I was really excited to throw a bunch of stuff on there. But yeah, thank you. It was definitely cool. We did lots of recording in some studio settings and then some of it just recorded in my bedroom with like a halo and a blanket over top to get it to where it needs to be. So it was a really fun experience.
But I was gonna say, was it scary also? Because when you start going into that texture, that's
Yeah.
vulnerability. That's when we sit back and go, okay, let's see if she can sing or not. What
Yeah.
was that like? Because a lot of artists don't realize when you go into those ranges, that's what we expect when you're live.
Yeah.
So, what was that like to put yourself in that vulnerable state for us to actually go, damn, she can sing and she's gonna do it for us again?
Yeah, no, that's so true. It's so true because yeah, people do expect kind of what they're hearing on the recording live, and a lot of that I think is just training and practice. And I know I've mentioned choir a lot of times, but I think that
Mhm.
that had really helped me with like the vocal stamina and the strength and just having even just the lung capacity to get there because
Yeah.
it's so different from when you're rehearsing by yourself and nobody's around. And those are always the moments where I feel like I absolutely nail it and nobody's around to hear it. And then when people are in front of you, it's a totally different thing. And your body just goes into this like crazy different state where everything's shaking and you're like, oh my gosh, like definitely I shake kind of like a chihuahua in the wind sometimes performing. I just get so nervous. And I had a performance last night to kind of kick off the album. And there's another element too with like the sound system. And then when you start to do that big note, and it's that big note is coming back at you in the monitors too. And I just that sometimes throws me off because I'm just like, oh, I don't want to be like blasting at people's ears too, right? Like it also has to be like still a nice experience. So yeah, I would say just a lot of practice, a lot of training, a lot of muscle memory. I think like you
Yeah.
kind of flip into this mode where once you've done it so many times, like I'm confident, I know it's going to go there. And then I think also practicing a lot of other songs that that have those kind of notes, and then being brave enough to actually try it in front of people. And I've definitely tried and failed. Like there's been moments where like a note doesn't come out the way I want, or it squeaks, or it doesn't end right, or things like that. But you kind of have to work through that and like keep going and keep trying, and just have the confidence to really like push them out. But yeah, it can be definitely very vulnerable and pretty nerve wracking. But when the moments happen and when they're on, I get really excited.
What's the single out right now, and what's it about?
Lazy Sunday. This is one of my favorite ones on the album. It's a lazy Sunday. It's kind of about those calm Sunday mornings where you're just kind of hanging out and having a latte and a coffee and just kind of vibing in the morning. And then it slowly kind of transitions into like, oh no, it's Sunday. Like the whole week is gonna be ahead of me, and you kind of get like the Sunday scaries about thinking about the week ahead. So I always thought it was such a funny day of the week because it's very relaxing, and it's really fun. You get to do stuff. It's a day off, but it also for me personally, and I can't speak for anybody else, but I would assume some other people, it kind of represents like the anxiety of the week ahead and contemplating like, okay, like what do I have to have ready, and reviewing kind of what's going on. So it's a bit of a funny day, I think, in terms of emotions for me. So yeah, it's kind of, it's got like a bass groove in it, and some maybe like 1950s style harmonics in the background. So production wise, I'm really proud of it, and yeah, really excited for people to hear it because it definitely is really different and very chill. So I'd say put your headphones on, get yourself your coffee on Sunday morning, and maybe go sit somewhere nice and have a listen to that one.
Now I know this is the album we're pushing, but is there any chance in the future you might even take on a jazz album? Because I just see you just turning around and going, you know what? I've done this. I've done this. Let me try this now.
Never say never. I mean, that would be so cool. I did a lot of jazz in high school. I did some vocal jazz and things like that with my music program, and really loved it. So, and I think, yeah, I think Lazy Sunday does kind of touch a little bit into that jazz era because it's got a bunch of fun vocal runs and things like that. So, I mean, I'd be down, definitely. Always down to create and explore in other places. So who knows? Maybe that one's next. Would be great.
What's going on with 2024? Are we looking at shows, festivals? What's happening?
Well, I just had the release show last night, so that was really exciting and fun. And yeah, always looking forward to different festivals and shows around Vancouver and around. I would love to tour outside of Canada. I've never performed outside of Canada before, so that would be really exciting. But in terms of 2024, majorly just the release and getting through that part of um, what's going on, and then hopefully, yeah, looking towards other shows in the future. Nothing in the calendar right now, but follow me on socials, and I'm sure hopefully there'll be some stuff that comes up. In addition to that, we're also starting to work on some other stuff, so we're hoping to put out some holiday music as well towards the end of the year. So there'll be more stuff
Oh,
coming.
fantastic. I love that. Original songs for the holidays, or are we going to talk about
Yeah,
remakes?
some original stuff, but then also some of the classic ones too. The classic ones with the big notes. So we got to have those.
And you got
So,
to let people know because I don't think they understand when you are recording holiday songs, you do it in the summertime. You don't
yeah,
do it in the winter.
yeah.
So how do you get your mindset for snow and jingle
Yeah,
bells and everything else when it's the summer?
I know. Yeah, no, that's so funny. That's such a funny part of that process. I definitely try and set the mood a little bit. So I'll listen to a bunch of Christmas albums. Like some of my favorites are like Celine Dion's Christmas albums and work, and I love that. Also, obviously, like Michael Bublé stuff, and just really kind of get in the mood for myself. And then also sometimes like set up a little bit of decor and maybe watch like a Hallmark Channel movie or two, and just kind of get in the
Ah,
spirit of things.
because they
Yeah,
play
that's
they
so
they
true.
play those movies even in the summer. So yeah,
Yeah,
you're
I think
right.
so.
Yeah, you got it
But
down.
you got to get into the mood for sure because it's always kind of funny like looking outside and seeing people going about their like summertime activities and you're just inside singing about snow and holidays or at least trying to write about it. But
Looking
yeah,
forward
it's
to it.
funny.
Looking forward to it. Look, congratulations on
Thank
the new
you.
album. Is there any chance we're ever going to see you because in Toronto? Because as we speak, Canadian Music Week is coming up. Are we ever going to see you part of that in the future or something?
Oh man, I hope so. I really hope so. I'm definitely open to all the opportunities. So I think I just gotta go out there and find them, and fingers crossed I can come out and play in Toronto because I have lots of friends. My best friend lives in Toronto, so I come all the time. I love that city, so I'd be so excited to play there.
All right. Well, we are crossing our fingers. Congratulations on this new album and all the
Thank you
best
so much.
in 2024. And like I said, fingers crossed for you to come to Toronto. Have a
Thank you.
great time. Enjoy yourself as we are coming up to the spring summer season. And like I said, I just love the fact of I'm gonna know when I'm sitting there on the beach that you're recording Christmas songs for us already for that part of the year. So it's gonna be amazing. Thank you again.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.